they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs at
Hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly, and I hope that you're all keeping well. We know that the transfer window is well underway. In fact, you pretty much be having to live under a rock to not know. But today, I'm actually going to be taking a look at the transfer window from a slightly different angle. So I feel that we're actually experiencing a whole new kind of transfer window at the moment. And this is something that we're pretty unfamiliar with. And that's because good teams are actually after some of our best players. And it's no longer a game of players going out of contract or us letting players go that aren't working out. But we're now having to work out how to bat off Champions League teams alongside all of our transfer window business, which we are notoriously not fantastic at. So it's a whole new kind of challenge. And while that is proving rather stressful to watch with all the rumours and all the bids that we're hearing about, it's actually quite a good position to be in compared to where we normally are. And it's definitely a sign that we are doing some things right. So I'm, of course, talking about the ongoing Declan Rice situation, but we now also have it with Paqueta. So I won't talk for too long about Rice because it's basically all we're seeing. And I know that there's also going to be a mention of the latest bid in your Hammers headlines coming out later today. But the Paqueta one was definitely one that actually took me by surprise. So PSG have made it clear that Lucas Paqueta is one of their transfer targets this summer, despite us having him under contract until 2027 with the option for another year. So having seen how well he's performed for us, especially in the second half of the season, I can't say it's the biggest surprise that top clubs are interested, but I was definitely so wrapped up in the Rice saga, it completely slipped my mind that people might actually be after our other good players. So losing Paqueta this early into his career at West Ham would be absolutely devastating. He's just found his form in the Premier League. We've won some silverware. He was the player that everyone's talking about, like, oh, let's build the squad around him now. And that means right now is the time to show ambition, which means that we need to strengthen our squad. So there's been a lot of talk about all the outgoings and there's been very little action with new signings. And this is most likely because we're going to be waiting, obviously, and looking to firm up how much money we'll get from Rice before committing our spending. But we're definitely getting to the point where we actually need to act in order to get the most suitable players, leave time for negotiations, and also show our existing players that we actually mean business. So there's been a big question mark around whether an official bid from PSG could turn Paqueta's head. It's been rumoured that they are interested, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not that actually materialises. But the question is, would he stay professional or would he act to make a move happen? It's definitely going to be a test of his character. And I'd like to think that just 10 months into his contract, with potentially another 5 years remaining at West Ham, he'll remain focused on the job at hand and see the long-term project. But realistically, you never know what's going on in a player's head. We haven't seen him at the club for that long. So could he see another opportunity and decide that that might be better for him? I hope not. But I still have hope that he would remain professional, especially so early on at West Ham when we obviously look as though we might build around him, but this obviously does rely on us actually showing him that promise and proving to him that we are taking this seriously. And the big question is, what do we need to do to retain top talent and actually build around them? So let us know what you think in the comments. In my opinion, I think that this means we need to keep as many of our best players as possible to make it more attractive to play at West Ham, but also strengthening the squad around the likes of Paqueta. So one of the key puzzle pieces for this, especially in terms of Paqueta, because it's a position that's going to impact him massively in the way that he can play next season, will be who we actually choose to fill Rice's spot should he leave the club, which is obviously now looking incredibly likely. So while it is a whole new experience having top clubs after your players, I think that we're actually in a strong position to get decent money for Rice, reinvest this in a way that makes other players feel invested in a long-term project. And hopefully we can build on that. Whereas before, there hasn't felt like there's too much strategy in terms of transfers, and we haven't really had to, until recently, bat off really, really good clubs for our best players. And naturally, any player is going to be ambitious. And if you get a club like PSG coming in for them, they're going to be interested or at least pay attention. But we've won silverware and our fortunes now really will depend on how well we do business this transfer window, as well as how we start next season. So now is the time to get things moving along. And it doesn't look as though City are going to remain in the race. So if Arsenal are serious, here's hoping they can come up with a suitable payment structure and a fair price for Rice. So we can get to work this window. So for anyone that's watching, I have a big question. who are the players that you think we must not lose this window? Like the key players that we need to keep for us to have a good season next season. So for me, obviously, it looks as though Rice is going, so sort of pushing him out the picture. Paqueta is my biggest because I think we can build around him massively. The way that he can play the ball through is going to add to our attack. And I just think he's a threat that will make it really difficult for the opposition. So I would not want to lose Paqueta at all. But Areola would actually probably be a close second for me because it feels to me as though Fabianski doesn't have many years left at the club. And I know that Moyes seems to favour him. But if that is the case, I believe that we need to actually give Areola the chance to become first choice so that we can actually build on that, because to lose him would be difficult. And we've seen what it's like when you don't have a goalkeeper that you can rely on. In the Conference League, he had good form. So he's definitely proven himself enough. So I would not want to see Areola go. Anyway, let us know in the comments what you think. That is all from me. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We are incredibly close, if you haven't seen, to the 20,000 subscriber mark. So biggest thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us on this wonderful, wonderful journey. And there's lots of great There's lots of great content in the works. So thank you so much. And it's great fun. And until next time, have a great day. Come on, you Irons.